tomorrow a full committee hearing on cybersecurity. And this comes within our purview on this committee. And not trying to be dramatic about it, when the internet was invented, everybody fell flat in their face. They were so thrilled. And the world began to do business in a different way. Now, both President Bush's Director of National Intelligence, Mike McConnell, who I greatly respect, and President Obama's Director of National Intelligence, Admiral Blair, who I greatly respect, have labeled cybersecurity perpetrated through the internet as the #1 national hazard of attack on the homeland in West Virginia, America, or anywhere else. So, it really almost makes you ask the question, would it have been better if we never invented the internet and had to use paper and pencil or whatever? And that's a stupid thing to say, but it has genuine consequence, because it's on the internet that these acts of shutting down, they have the television saying that ads every day saying that the Department of Defense is attacked 3 million times a day, and it's true. Everybody is attacked. Anybody can do it. People say, well, it's China and Russia, but there could be, some kid in Latvia doing the same thing. It's an individual act. It doesn't require a sleeper cell. It doesn't require any, ammonia or explosives. It's just an act. And yet it's an act which can shut this country down. Shut down its electricity system, its banking system, shut down really anything that we have to offer. It is an awesome problem. On the Intelligence Committee, we were taken for a full day to discuss, to a undisclosed place in Virginia to discuss this. It is a fearsome, awesome problem, to speak. Obviously it's broader than that too. I wonder where this stands with you, what your thoughts are, and what you think we ought to be doing about it.
Senator, cybersecurity is obviously of utmost importance.
Duro. Sobre la roca, escrito, clara y de manera totalmente legible, hay un mensaje escondido en las colinas de Elbert Country, en Georgia, Estados Unidos. En esa zona se alza un enorme y colosal monumento que está grabado en casi su totalidad con unos misteriosos mensajes. Pero ¿cuál es el mensaje que incorpora dicha roca? Ni más ni menos que unos mandamientos, unas órdenes, unas guías, los 10 mandamientos del nuevo orden mundial. Y vamos a analizarlos punto a punto. ¿Qué está escrito en aquella roca? En el primer mandamiento dice lo siguiente: mantener la humanidad por debajo de 500 millones en perpetuo equilibrio con la naturaleza. 500 millones de habitantes. Mensaje porque el que claramente se está instando a destruir a 12 de cada 13 personas del planeta, cuya cifra actual ronda los 7.000 millones. Una eliminación, una despoblación del planeta por parte de los seres humanos, hacia los propios seres humanos.
are forcing on us.
Yeah, well, Americans are mostly forcing it. You know, the American companies, but with gene-modified food and things like that, and we do not know, and nobody knows what's going to happen, because they experiment on long range, and we don't know what happens in a year or 20 years. Just like we don't know what happens, except we start knowing now, what happens with mobile phones in 20 years. You know, they cause brain tumors and blindness and deafness and cancer and whatever. It's totally known. But it's experimentation on a long range.
Do you think that those frequencies and those devices are specifically selected to test on us? Do you think they're changing the species, or trying to kill us, or change us, or whatever?
Well, at least they're making us very sick. And since the goal that I have read of the elite, if I can use that word, is to diminish our population on planet Earth by at least 2/3, maybe even 5 billion. So that's very negative.
Can you explore that more? I mean, we're facing this new disease which is coming out, the
swine
flu.
Oh, that's just rubbish. That is really rubbish. You know, it's not the swine flu that's dangerous, it's the injections. Because it's supposedly, it's not only swine, but it is human virus mixed with swine virus, mixed with bird virus. And of course, behind the whole thing is to diminish world population, because it's very toxic, and to get milliards and milliards and milliards into the pockets of those who put them out. Rumsfeld is an owner also in one of the big drug companies. And since they want to diminish the population, so they start saying that children and pregnant women are the first ones. Eliminate the next generation.
We had a chance to talk to Dr. Russell Blaylock, MD, a retired neurosurgeon and author. His trailblazing research has tirelessly documented the fact that there is an epidemic of neurological disorders in the Western world, directly tied to toxins in our environment, and the story behind the story concerning the larger global eugenics program behind population reduction.
I'm Dr. Russell Blaylock. I'm a board-certified neurosurgeon. I've retired from active practice. Now I do primarily theoretical research in neurosciences and spend most of my time writing research articles, review articles on neuroscience projects at the present time. What I found interesting in all of this when I first started looking at it, looking at the funding by the Rockefeller Foundation and many of the other foundations like Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, and looking back into the history of it, and I came accidentally upon a book by Dr. Lily Kay. She was doing a research project looking at the origins of molecular biology in the United States. And that was primarily my interest, was just reviewing the history of molecular biology. But to my surprise, much of the book describes the, what was called the Science of Man project by the Rockefeller Foundation. And primarily, and this is in the period about 1910, primarily what he was interested in, and his foundation board, was doing social engineering. They were concerned that society was made of a lot of people they considered undesirables. Their definition of undesirables was people that had lower IQ, people that had physical defects, people who had diseases, people who did not behave in a way that these group of elitists thought people should behave in a society. So their idea was to use eugenics, which was the primary science at the time, to redevelop man, to create a new type of person. And they coined the term social engineering. Now, of course, at that time, we didn't have DNA as a concept. So they were using rather crude genetics to bring this about. in the very beginning. So what she shows is the Rockefeller Foundation was really putting a lot of money in this. And in order to do that, he thought, what I'll do is I will fund major universities, and he picked Caltech as one of those universities, and then some in the East like Harvard and Johns Hopkins and Columbia, University of Chicago as the primary centers where this type of study would be carried out and how to engineer human beings to be in the form that they thought humans should be. And gradually, as science began to become more sophisticated, and eugenics began to get a really bad name as the period of Adolf Hitler occurred, and you realize that the Rockefeller eugenists, before Hitler became well-known in power, they were traveling to Germany and exchanging information on these eugenic programs. So a fair amount of this information came from the Rockefeller Foundation. Of course, after World War II, when the world found out a lot of what was going on in eugenics and the horror of eugenics, most of these programs were abandoned, and the Rockefeller Foundations very quickly said to all their members, let's never use the name eugenics anymore. What we'll talk about is social engineering, the new science of man, behavioralism. So they had these key words that meant basically the same type idea, that is redesigning man and man's behavior and controlling it through elitist ideas, but we would do it through new science. And we would establish major institutions in the United States that would control medical education through his General Education Board, which was a very powerful foundation regulation of education in America. And so he would appoint professors that would be directors of these programs. He groomed people who believed, like he did, that in fact man should be redesigned. We need this science of man to re-engineer human beings, but do it in a more scientific way than...
Дорогие ветераны, товарищи солдаты и матросы, сержанты и старшины, мичманы и прапорщики, товарищи офицеры, генералы и адмиралы. Поздравляю вас с Днем Победы, с торжеством, в котором слились воедино радость, память и скорбь. В этом году исполняется 75 лет с начала Великой Отечественной войны. 22 июня 1941-го нацисты вероломно напали на Советский Союз. В один миг изменилась жизнь огромной страны. И на этом трагическом переломе был только один, но высший выбор. Главным для всего народа стало спасение Отечества. Началась героическая и жертвенная дорога к победе. Нужно было без промедления решать множество сложнейших задач. Одна из них – эвакуация миллионов мирных граждан, промышленности на восток. И все это в тяжелейших условиях наступления врага в пекле войны. Сейчас трудно даже осознать, какими запредельными усилиями было вывезено и восстановлено более 1500 заводов. Уже через несколько месяцев они начали бесперебойно поставлять на фронт танки, самолеты, боеприпасы, военную технику. Это величайшая, беспримерная трудовая победа позволила нашей армии обратить врага вспять, сокрушить агрессора, который поставил себе на службу экономический потенциал почти всей Европы. В подвигах фронтовиков и тружеников тыла проявилась истинная жизненная сила нашего народа, его единство, победный дух и любовь к родной земле. Наши отцы и деды одолели мощного, беспощадного врага, перед которым спасовали, отступили многие страны. Именно советский народ принес свободу другим народам. И именно от нашего солдата нацисты и их пособники получили полное возмездие. За миллионы жертв, за все изуверства и бесчинства на нашей земле. Война длилась без малого 4 года и стала целой эпохой для нашей страны. Эпохой мужества и отваги, тяжелейших испытаний и трагических потерь, светлых надежд и беспредельной веры в победу. Великая Отечественная навсегда останется выдающимся, священным подвигом нашего народа, призывом жить по совести, держать высоту правды и справедливости, передавать эти ценности от поколения к поколению. Уважаемые товарищи, уроки истории говорят о том, что мир на планете не утверждается сам по себе, что нужно быть бдительными, что недопустимы двойные стандарты, близорукое потакание тем, кто вынашивает новые преступные замыслы. Сегодня цивилизация вновь столкнулась с жестокостью и насилием. Терроризм стал глобальной угрозой. Мы обязаны победить это зло. И Россия открыта для объединения усилий с другими государствами. Готова работать над созданием современной, внеблоковой системы международной безопасности. Наши солдаты и командиры доказали, что они достойные преемники героев Великой Отечественной и с честью защищают интересы Родины. Уверен, что сегодня ветераны гордятся своими внуками и правнуками. Они их не подводят и всегда будут держать равнение на великую победу, на подвиг доблестного поколения победителей. С праздником вас! С Днем Великой Победы! Ура!